Yeah.
All right, here we go. But yeah, so then I guess I remember it was the song Music Box. And my piano teacher, my mom, was like, it looks like Renee really likes the piano. And I did, but I didn't like that it took me away from playing outside. And so, it's that whole discipline thing. And so mom found a different instructor for me, Mrs. Silverthorne, and she was an elemental part of my life. And she was tough. She was a mean old lady. But she just really directed me, towards, getting into some competitions and really just teaching me technique in the music world. And then so that was more of my, structured discipline study. And then, then I saw my dad and my grandpa and some other folks in my family, sitting around playing the guitar. And I wanted to sit in that same circle. I didn't want to have to play the Chopin or whatever every time. So I would sneak my dad's guitar out and I just started teaching myself some of the basic chords because he had this little book. And then I taught myself Country Roads by John Denver, and I surprised them and sat in that circle, found a spare guitar and sat and started playing. And they were like, oh my God. So since then, I applied the techniques that I learned in the classical piano and just continue to strum a guitar too, because that's a little easier to bring to clubs when you're playing than a piano.
Than a piano.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think if Paul Cardall's watching this, he'd agree, right? He'd be like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So you were surrounded in a sense by giants. I mean, your family.
I was.
I
really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Like one of my favorite memories growing up is, on Sundays after church, we'd all go over to Grandma and Grandpa's and my grandma and grandpa had a piano and an organ on the end of the living area. And we would sit, me and my grandma, she would play the organ and I'd play the piano, and we'd sit and do hymns. And then my grandpa loved to pull out his trumpet every once in a while. And then my dad with the guitars, and it was a lot of hymnals and bluegrass. That was what I grew up with.
Yeah.
My grandma on my dad's side had a prized possession of a Willie Nelson signed guitar, and it was priceless. So yeah, love that stuff.
I bet it smelled really good.
No comment.
Yeah, no.
You strum it, you get a contact high.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, it helps the creativity, right?
Right. So did you have naysayers growing up? Did you have people that kind of said, yeah, you can't, this is ridiculous, you're a nerd, you're, like stuff like that? Or
Yeah, for sure. I mean, school is always, the biggest challenge for kids, growing up. And it was the same for me, especially that middle school age. I was, they called me eggplant all the time.
Oh, wow.
And, and so it was, and also, my faith growing up, it was, I was teased a lot for, my church and because I was a true believer and so, but what I think what helped me a lot, and this might sound really funny, is that I was taller. So whenever the bullies would, make comments or, just try to make you feel, not so good, I remember thinking I'm going to stand tall, literally putting my shoulders back, because my mom would always, poke me in the back saying, watch your posture. And I remember that made me feel better about myself. And what ended up happening is I connected with our choir director, Mrs. Girton, in junior high. And she had me start accompanying, for the choirs there in the junior high, and then also in the high school. And so before you know it, there was a group of us that kind of grew up together, in the same school district. We really started getting interested in music, and there was all of a sudden an enlightened, like Mrs. Girton, and then her husband taught in high school, Mr. Girton's choir. And between the two of them, the choir just became a really popular thing to do. And we had like madrigals where there was 10 of us that would sing a cappella, and we would go and do some tours. And And it just really, encouraged musicality and creativity and just really, going that direction.
That's really
so
cool.
It's pretty cool.
Did that influence you to choose this path then?
I think so. And what also helped feed into that was my church. The church that I was going to, it was a non-evangelical, or it was evangelical church, non-denominational, and it had a huge music program. And so, at the age of 12, they had the big sign way down front, and it was televised locally. And so I wanted to be part of that, and just creativity and being able to play piano and guitar. And I definitely discovered that writing songs and creating that way was my therapy, I guess you could say, getting through some of that, some of those challenges that we face as children growing up. And then also, going into that adulthood, right?
Yeah.
So all the common things that we go through, we feel ugly. We feel, like we don't have the talent needed. We have a problem speaking out. So those, I think music definitely was my savior in all of that.
Yeah, I love that. Ryan and I got a chance to go to a church here locally called the Rock
Oh,
Church.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
And it was awesome. It's just beautiful music, soulful, spiritual music. You can connect with it. It just, music just does.
Music has a way. Yeah, it does have a way of doing that for sure.
Yeah.
It is. It's almost like it's a common language, no matter what background, no matter what, what nationality, what diversity we have. It's an inclusive type of way to communicate. And that is something that truly inspired me to when I started writing music. I wrote a lot of music, like, praise songs for our church, and then, just going through life, writing, about difficulties I was going through, or even friends were going through. Is what I found is that was the biggest payday in the music for me, is when someone would say, "Oh my God, this song helped me communicate something to somebody that I was having a hard time doing." I'll never forget. When I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a dear friend of mine that her dad had just died, and she had to make a road trip up to New York for the funeral. And she said that there was a song of mine that she was listening to, and she just played it over and over and over again. She said that's what got me through the mourning process. And I was like, whoa, that is way, way cool. Hey, Chip. Hey, he was like one of my best friends growing up in my neighborhood. Hi.
Hey, Chip.
That is awesome.
Just so you know, if you comment, I do want to share it, and I may bring it up on the screen. And so if you do,
that is so
you're
cool.
okay with that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That is so exciting.
Yeah. Thanks,
oh my
Chip.
gosh. Yeah, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so being able to write songs that mean something to someone, because it touches them, or they're able to, say, hey, this is how I feel. That is a musician's true payday. It really helps, and it inspires us to keep writing. Because we're not the only ones going through that, right?
We're not. It's a form of storytelling. Storytelling has been a part of human history from the beginning of time. And so music became a way of storytelling, and it is a way to connect with people. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
So have you overcome some challenges to get to where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. I would think that probably the biggest challenge is believing in myself. Because, when you asked earlier about, naysayers and anybody that, may have, tried to stop me from getting to my full potential, I would say probably the biggest naysayer was myself. And, because too many times we don't believe that we can do this. We don't have that, that belief in ourselves. And that's where in my opinion, I think it's so important to have a strong foundation of people in your life that help encourage you. I'm going to start crying because Steph, who's upstairs, is one of the biggest influences in my life. And that's why I married her in December, is because she is one of my foundations in life since I've moved here to Utah. And God, she's an incredible woman. And so thankfully, I have her. And
Well, now you're going to make me cry, dude.
Quit it. Stop it.
That was unexpected.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I met
No,
Steph. I met Steph
Yeah.
when you came into the store, and just a great person, so supportive of you, so excited for you.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, just, you know, a shout out to Steph.
Yay.
Hi,
Hi,
Steph.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges, I think, again, is just being okay with who I was, and being okay with, you know, just overcoming some of those doubts that I had. I mean, if you haven't picked up already, I'm a lesbian. So that has been one of the biggest challenges in life, you know, and it's it's like, okay, how do I fit into this mold that I grew up with my faith, with my family, you know, and make them proud. Oh, Pammy, hi. She is one of my dearest friends. Oh my God.
I love it. You know, there's a lot of people that love you, Renee.
Oh, there's my wife right there. Oh my gosh. And so it was a huge challenge because, you know, I had my faith, like I said, but I knew I didn't fit into the mold that was there. And so fighting through that and figuring out and saying my prayers and saying, okay, God, please take this away. I don't like this, and it's not comfortable for me. And so finally getting to that space to say, you know what, it's gonna have to be okay, because I'm not gonna lie in my life. I'm not going to, you know, fake who I am, and I'm gonna embrace it. And it's been amazing to find out who will really just embrace you as you embrace yourself, and overcoming that fear.
Can we go on the rabbit hole a little bit here? And
Sure.
I love these little veer offs. You know, the whole idea of fitting into a mold, and when we're born and raised, we are given kind of a set of rules to follow.
Yes,
and guidelines, you know, more like guidelines, like Pirates of the Caribbean.
More like guidelines, really.
There you go.
Then you find out as you go along, hey, this doesn't fit for me. This mold is like, you can almost picture the mold coming on you, and you're like, this isn't who I am. Yeah. And to have the courage to break out of that, especially when you have a lifetime of growing up under a certain set of rules. Yep. I can imagine how challenging that would be. And so, can you speak to that a little bit?
People are always scared of like what they don't understand, or what is different. And so, you know, I'm sure you experienced a bunch of that, right?
That's my dad. Yes.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Thanks, Tom, for watching.
Yes. You're such a great.
Oh.
We can do this all day. We'll just say hi to everybody.
This is so cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's you know, it was the biggest challenge within myself, and you know, just really understanding that it's okay, right? That it's okay to be different. And like I said, the word embrace that I said a little bit ago, I think was the biggest challenge to do. But once I did that, it just took me to whole new levels. And so, you know, but I think that it's also important to understand what you were just talking about, Ryan, the fear of the unknown, right? Is because something that I'm not going to do also is I'm not going to go into somebody's face is that I know is very fearful of, you know, a certain practice or, you know, a certain belief, and I'm not going to shove it down their throat. Yeah. And so just even in
hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
I know I'm throwing your thoughts off a little bit here.
Okay.
I love it. Try and maintain, but it's that, you know, just embracing your differentness. Keep going. You're doing great.
Yeah, no, I think so yeah, what was I going to say there a second ago?
Here's something that's interesting in the book, you know, in the giants and the smalls. Rit is going, like, he's just going through life. He's trying to fit in the, you know, he's being told what the mold is. It's a small life. You eat small, you know, you live small, you die small, that kind of a thing. It's just a path that he goes down. And it wasn't until he heard the giants in the distance that he started asking some different questions. And then he did something a little bit scary, which is go down a different path and find out, like, what's right for me. And he looked up, and there was naysayers. There was people there's a picture in the book, and I actually have an autographed copy of it from Nick.
Let me see if I can grab it, Ryan.
Yeah,
while you
that's awesome.
So there's Rit, and he's sitting on the curb next to the houses, and there's some people that are laughing, and just, you got a guy that looks like almost like a used car salesman, like like belittling him and just laughing at him and making him feel small. And we have those people sometimes. Oh, there it is right there. See that, where his hands are in his face? The guy's got a cheesy grin, as he's just told him that, hey, you'll never be a giant. You're never going to amount to much. You know, you're different, you know? And it could be a million different things that are you can apply it into our life now, is that if you're a little bit different, somebody is going to say that. And it doesn't feel good. It hurts. But there are some ways to overcome that and to grow and use that as fuel. And it sounds like that's what a lot of what you've done is you took that, leaned on people that would support you, and then followed your own, you know, a giant's path.
No, absolutely.
You know, the thought here that comes up is in embracing yourself and your, like, you know, I made up a word here, differentness.
Differentness? I like it.
Is that you also learn to embrace others and their differentness. And so you can hold space for them to be able to do that. And I'm seeing these comments pop up, and I know it's throwing your thought train off, but it's just beautiful. These people are coming in and saying, Renee, you've impacted my life. You've inspired me. You've made a difference. And it's when you become okay with you, people start to be okay with themselves around you. They feel accepted. And I think the deepest form of love is acceptance.
Absolutely.
Pure acceptance.
Yeah. And exactly what you were talking about is, you know, when you embrace and accept yourself, and you open that door up for other people to do the same for themselves. And what a beautiful community it can build is when, you know, even identifying and saying, you know what, I might be scared of this. And saying, you know what, let me learn a little bit more about this person, you know, just to where you can really just embrace them as well. Because what's that saying about, you know, a chain is only as weak as its weakest link, you know, or as strong as its weakest link, you know. And so as we identify, you know, within ourselves that we might be that weakest link in that chain, and saying, you know, I need to work on doing to them what I would want them to do unto me. It's the whole golden rule thing, right? You know, so that's one of the things I think that's been really beneficial in my corporate life. And because I tell you what, you know, 20 plus years, I'm not going to age myself too much. You know, years later, you know, I'm still in the same industry and in the same corporate life that I had no idea I would be in. Because trust me, I thought I was going to be, you know, the rock star, the touring musician, and you know, just really, you know, use my music to influence people. And what I've discovered, because somebody asked me a question many years ago, and was like, I thought you were going to be a musician. How did you end up in finance? And I'm like, well, you know, and so I had to start thinking about that. And then like,
Nick was going to be in the circus, and then he ended up in finance. It's so weird.
You never know. You never know how life will turn out.
You don't.
Ask him about it sometime, about the whole circus thing, his dream and his.
You were really going to be in the circus, Nick? Oh,
I don't. Oh,
No.
you don't have to lie to people. It's okay, Nick. We embrace you and accept you.
I'm embracing my differences here, I guess.
Yes, the circus is. I mean, it's entertainment. That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I had to think about that a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? Just so everybody knows, in my corporate world, I have been in. Here, I'm going to say the word collections. I have been in the collections portion of the finance world for about 25 years, and I didn't expect to ever be in that role. I was living in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The opportunity came up. I was going to be a skip tracer, which is an investigator. It's where you try to find the people that are what they call skipping out on debt. And so I was in that for about 5 months, and then I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a really fun environment, meaning that we can have such a positive impact in people's lives that have been faced with a challenge financially. And, you know, please don't believe everything you hear on Dateline in 2020 about collections. I promise.
I like
we're not all like
said,
that.
You said collections like it was like, you're like, get ready for the C word. Collections. like a super dirty word.
I know.
Plug your ears, kids.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, you know, from very onset, you know, I was taught by a very, very influential man in the industry. His name was Bill Bartman, and he passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately. But he basically said, you know, look, he goes, the people we're talking to are wonderful people. And that just means that just something bad has happened in their lives. I mean,
that's a totally different view, right? Like, sorry to interrupt you, but that's like a totally different view. Yeah. Most of the time you think, like somebody that says, oh, collections, they think, oh, they're bad because they're not paying their bills. They're skipping out. They're, you know, doing these things. I love that view that, look, they're probably good people. They just maybe got in over their head, or they didn't have the discipline or the self-control. Or we're not taught those things in school. Like, who was taught like a checkbook and managing your finances?
Right.
Not very many.
Right. So exactly.
That's a cool view. I like that. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, and that's another story. I'll tell you just how us as an organization, we've been trying to branch out into schools and go in and teach some of the basics of what a checkbook is, what saving is, and you know, what some of those basic, you know, finance things are that people don't really know a lot about. And so yeah, 25 years ago, it's like I discovered, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this industry because, again, we can help, you know, and most of the time helping is listening and just being there for that customer, and just really, you know, just trying to figure out, because a lot of times in those customers' minds, you know, when you talk about money, they shut down right away, and they're angry, and they're afraid because they don't know what to do next. And so when we listen to them and just really try to understand where they're coming from, and just try to walk through basic steps on how to get out of that hole that they feel like they're never going to get out of, you can have a huge influence in someone's life in a positive way.
What I love about this is that you have a career, you have a full-time career, and you have an ability to sing. And I hope during the show we get to hear something, if you're open to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to.
Hint,
We're here in my studio at home, so I'm like,
oh. When you came on, I thought that was a green screen. I'm like, that's an awesome green screen. And you're like, no, this is legitimately my studio.
Yeah, it's my studio.
But the idea here is there are a lot of people that want to pursue dreams, and they think it's an either or mindset, right? I have to work full time, so I can't chase my dream. And you and I both know that it is an and world. Like Brene Brown talks about, you know, I am an author, and I'm a mother, and I'm a, you know, and she lists out all these things. So for people to just put us in a mold of I'm a career person, that doesn't work for me. And I think people need to hear that more, is you can pursue your dream while working full time. Ryan and I both work full time, you know, and we do this.
Yeah.
So, I love that.
Speaking of, when is the book release? Is it August?
August 10th is when we get it.
August 10th. The print, right?
Yep. Yep. And
That's
so
so exciting.
we were thinking about flying out there. We still need to talk about doing that.
There you go.
But they won't let us in the plant because of Corona. So
Right.
you might have to do a little like undercover sneaking in kind of thing, like 2020 action.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Into the book plant.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no, absolutely.
August 10th is when that'll be out.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, no, just what you said. I mean, it's it was a reality check for me back in 1995. I was working for that company back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you know, and I was playing in some local clubs, and it seemed to be going well. And I'm like, okay, so now I can quit my day job and then really become a musician full time, and you know. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And I did. And that lasted about 2 weeks. Because I think then, I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me or what it was, but I was like, oh no. Yeah. Hey, there you go. I was like, oh my God. Now I don't have a regular paycheck coming in. Now I don't have benefits, 401k. Oh no. Like, what am I going to do? And, you know, and I panicked, and I was like, this was not the right move.
Did you go into shutdown mode? That's what I do.
I
shut down without that.
Yeah, I was scared, and so what I ended up doing, because the company I quit from, which was the first company that that I was talking about with Bill Bartman, if you quit or resigned or if you were terminated, you were never allowed to work back at their company again. And that was just the rule that they had. And
sounds like a terrible policy.
I know. So I had called who was pretty high up guy, and I was like, look, I made a huge mistake. Can I please come back? And he's like, Renee, you know what our policy is. And I was like, I know, but what do we need to do? I was like, I will do anything. And so he said he had to go to the board and talk to the board, and they did, and I got my job back. It was like one of the very select few, and I was like, oh, thank God. Because that was kind of that reality check of, you know what, my dream of, you know, performing and writing songs and you know, playing for folks, you know, that doesn't have to stop. But I need something to support this very expensive hobby that I have. so, and then that's when like through time, I also then discovered that, you know what, the same things that I love about writing music and performing for people, I can incorporate into my daily job. And then just through that time, I became a leader in, you know, managers and then before you know it, you have a huge impact on people's lives every day in the office. And by being that leader that embraces differences, the leader that lets someone dream and believes in them and continues to encourage them and just really, really believe, like I said, just sees them just go up to that next level. It's very exciting.
I like how you implemented all of that into your whole life, not just your music career. You know, you can, well, believe it or not, you can change all aspects of your life and have that translate into all aspects of your life, marriages and relationships, work, those kinds of things. If you work at it, it takes some effort, it takes some work to do what you've done, and that's pretty awesome what you've accomplished. It's amazing.
Right on. Thank you. I enjoy it. My life is so amazing. Like seriously, like sometimes I'll sit in my backyard and I look at the Wasatch Mountains and I'm saying my prayers in the morning or at night and I just tell God, thank you. This is just an incredible life and the people in my life, the people that have influenced my life.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I think I'm like, oh my God, look where I'm at. This is so amazing. And, you know, because we're always pushing for that next thing, right? We're always pushing for that next thing. But I think sometimes it's so important, especially right now, right? Because, you know, it's scary out there. It really is. Unknown with the pandemic that's happening. And, you know, all of our routines are changing. You know, we're in a new world. We're wearing masks everywhere we go. You know, this is now my office.
Yeah.
And, and so staying engaged with the people in our workplace, staying engaged with our friends. Hey, look at that. Look at that. I love it. See, Ryan, that is so awesome that you're
got to have a Batman mask.
That is so cool. I love that mask.
If you're going to do something, you got to do it with some style.
Right. You got to do it all the way, right?
He's got the shoes to match it too.
I'm
sure.
committed. I have Batman shoes for real.
So yeah, you talk about style.
But I would have known. I would have worn my Batman shirt. I have a Batman T-shirt upstairs. It's one of my favorites. I was like, oh my gosh.
I love you even more now.
We still have power.
Right on. Right on.
You hit on something. When we say things like it's scary, right? We create this label of it being scary, and maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. What I see it as is it's uncertain, right? And where we find security is uncertainty. Yeah. And so this idea that it's scary is really what we're saying is we're uncertain of what the future is going to look like because we're used to it being a certain way that we can count on. Yeah. We can no longer count on that. And so in that uncertainty, people go into their survival mode and they shut down, or they fight. And we see a lot of fighting. We see a lot of people doing nothing. We see people fawning. There's a thing called fawning in the 4 responses of fight and flight. And fawning is where they go and they try and fit into another group to be able to survive. And so we see a lot of that. And so there's all these components that come up in this survival mode that we normally don't need because we've been in a space of thriving for so long. And somebody on the outside might look at America and go, well, welcome to my world. This is every day for me.
Right.
And here we are because it's uncertain, saying it's scary, but the reality is it's a chance for us to really create something different, you know, to, like you say, to embrace it. Like it is what it is, to accept that this is our reality right now, and to then transform it into something even more powerful.
No,
I look at it as opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really great point. And thanks for pointing that out. Is, saying, okay, what are the positives in the situation that we're in, right? We've kind of been forced to spend more time with family, right, in our homes. We've been kind of forced, right. And we've been kind of forced to, do some more activities together outside in a smaller group, and maybe instead of flying everywhere, even though you want to go fly, to look at your book being printed. But it's, but there's some positivities that are coming out of it.
There are.
And what's positive in this situation? I don't know. I mean, I love that I don't have to commute every day. I love it. But what I've found is that I'm taking the time that I used to commute back and forth to work. I end up working a little bit more, actually a lot more. Before I know it, Steph will come down and say, honey, it's time to eat. It's okay. It's fine. Because before I know it, I've been, on the job for 10 plus hours. And, and so that's actually one of the things that I'm trying to work on for myself is making sure I take the time, in my day to go upstairs, go outside for a second and, just take a break, because sometimes we need that mental and emotional break away from the fast paced, work environment.
100%.
So that's something I'm going to work on with myself.
I like that. I mean, so I like to write down your nuggets as they come up. And so it really is a creation. It's not found. When you create time to enjoy life, it's created. You got to create time to be with Steph. You got to create time to eat. You got to create time to go for walks. Yeah. And so it's all created. I had somebody tell me the other day, you promote, you allow, or you create everything in your life.
Wow. That's powerful. Yeah.
And if I were to pause with that and think about that, it's I can see where that's true for me. Yeah. Where I create, I promote, or I allow things to occur in my life. And so really to step in that stance of finding opportunity and creating our lives the way we want, the big thing is embracing your life. Until you can embrace your life, it's really hard to move forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things I think is really important for us too is just like, I think I touched on it just briefly earlier, is just to pause and really look at what we have. And it's just being thankful. Because I mean, there are folks that are in a lot worse situation than what we are. Ryan, you touched on it a second ago, to where folks looking, at the United States right now, and they're like, okay, now you get to experience what I've been experiencing every day. And so it's pausing and just really thinking, what feels like a real challenge right now at this moment. Can I learn from it? And can I take it and can I create something positive out of it to make it a lasting impact on my life? Because I can tell you, I'm never going to forget the year 2020. How about you guys?
It's super memorable. It's
very
ingrained.
memorable. Yeah, I know. And it's like, well, and then also March 18th, I don't know if you guys remember this, the earthquake, right? That happened here. It was kind of, as the pandemic was just getting started. And I know just in my job, we were trying to deploy, everyone here locally and across in our department, we were super busy. And then all of a sudden, at 7 a.m, there's an earthquake. And then you're thinking, okay, what else could happen? And then I was like, oh, don't ask that question, because I'm sure there's tons of other things that could happen.
Can't get worse, can it?
Oh, it sure can. It sure can.
Yeah.
But I like the attitude shift though, because you could take that and say, oh, poor me, poor this, this is the worst, this sucks, I hate my life, blah blah blah, whatever, all those negative emotions.
Yeah.
You take it and flip it and say, man, I'm sure grateful that I'm alive. I'm sure grateful that Steph's in my life. I'm sure grateful that I have music. I'm sure grateful I have a job, that I can work from home. That I can do all these. You start looking at all the positives in your life, and then also seeing it from other people's perspective, and that just the shift is big. You're really good at that. I can tell. You're really good at showing gratitude and looking at things from others' perspective, and relating and maybe empathizing, with them and for them, and helping lift them up. So you're a giant. Yeah. We appreciate that for sure.
Thank you.
Was there more along those lines that you wanted to share too?
Which part?
Oh, just about that, using the situation, being grateful. Was there an additional thought there?
Yeah, no, just being grateful is just so, to me, like I said, it's just so important. I think it's so important that we learn through time, and just like the question down there, how can I use this? Again, it's looking for opportunities, right? So while we have the pandemic going on, and while folks are starting to feel some effects from it financially, how can I use this to maybe start a new career? How can I use this time to maybe just learn something new, in my life? How can I use this time, like we were talking about earlier, to spend more time and prioritize the time that we're spending with different items, and say, okay, maybe I need to spend some more time with my family. Maybe I need to spend some more time, with a hobby that I have. That's actually something I need to start doing. I need to spend a little more time with this, but it's been a little crazy recently. But yeah, so I think that whole thankfulness is it's so important to me. Yeah. Because it just sometimes, like I said earlier, the challenges that we think is just overtaking our world right in that moment. Sometimes if we just try to take a step out and look at it from a different perspective and say, maybe it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was, but I was so emotionally wrapped up into that moment that it felt like the end of the world. I mean, we all get there, right?
I like that. You pause, take inventory, step back, maybe even from the situation. And you can sometimes realize that, hey, maybe, I was looking at that in the wrong way, or it was affecting my life in a dramatic way that was maybe negative.
We have this thing.
Right.
Our meetings where we step back from our companies and look at them and say, what needs to be addressed here, or, what needs attention over here. it's really stepping back out of the emotion of it, because you can't get tied into the emotion and it's almost, that analogy people say, you can't see the forest through the trees.
Right.
And when you can take that giant's view and get above it and rise above it, then you really see maybe it's not as big as I've made it out to be.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. There was a training that I went to, it was just last year for work. And it was, I don't remember the official title of it, but it was basically, how do you untie knots in a situation to where you can, have that strong rope without the knots that's getting in your way, right? And so emotions was like the number one knot that you have to like pause and just say, okay, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad. How do I untie this knot? How do I search a little deeper to find, what really caused the knot to where I can work on untying it. And that's in interactions with others, it's with interactions with ourselves, and just making sure that, we might have a rope that's just full of all these knots. And I was liking to think of, all of my music gear and my wires. I can't tell you, I can try to organize those and wind them just so neatly with a little Velcro piece to like tie it around so that when I pull it out, it's not all knotted up. And no matter how hard I try, my wires are always still knotted up. And so I've been able to, so that's how I was associating it with when I was in the class. And I'm like, how do I make sure that my wires don't get knotted up anymore? And so I'll just continue to try and organize them and continue to try to figure out why. And then I can maybe start piling them up a little neater. I'm looking down at the floor because I see all my wires over here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to.
That's like I tell my wife all the time. I'm like, that's like my personal hell. Is like, that's what's going to happen for me. Is that they'll be like cords in knots, and the more you untangle, the more tangled they get, and it's just like never ending. That's my life. That's going to be my living hell.
and sometimes that's where you have to depend on someone else to take care of those cords for you, right? Because I'll tell you what, Stephanie, that is a talent she has. I go out there, it's all like braided, and she knows how to do that cord thing to where it's just like so. I'm like, how do you do that?
I've been doing this wrong. I just throw them away. Is that?
Oh my God. I hope you recycle them. Pam, I don't know if she's still on.
He's a recycler. He's a recycler.
Reduce, reuse. Yes.
There you go. There you go. That's awesome.
I need to say on TV to fit in.
That's cool.
Excuse me. So if I want to create some time here to hear you sing if you're open to that.
Yeah, I am.
I have a couple more quick questions, then we'll jump into that.
Okay.
If you were to go back in time and give yourself some advice, maybe your 10-year-old self, what would you say?
I think that I would say, don't be afraid. Because I think that that's been my biggest challenge through that grow up space. Like I talked about at the beginning of the call, is like being so scared, and it's where I was my own biggest bully, naysayer. And, so I would just say, it's going to be amazing, and don't be scared. Reach out when you need help. Hard for us to do sometimes, right? Instead of, keeping everything inside. I'll just share real quick a topic that's, as I'm talking about that. One of the biggest crutches, I guess you could say, that I experienced in my life is that by keeping lots inside and not reaching out for help when I needed it, I turned to alcohol, and I was quite the drinker for many, many years, and I was the functioning alcoholic, I guess you could say, and I just celebrated a little over 4 years sobriety, or complete sobriety. Yay. And thank you.
Good job, yeah.
Good job, yeah.
And so it was getting to that place of I used alcohol to hide and to hide my fears and to just, try to deal with it myself. I don't need anybody else. And so, again, Stephanie was a huge influence in my life on that. And she's so strong. She encouraged me along the path. And but one of the scariest things when you become sober is actually dealing with life without a crutch in that regard, and being forced to deal with your feelings and emotions and saying, it's okay. I don't need that alcohol to escape. And so it's been a different journey, and it's been amazing approaching life in a different way. And I love it, and I think it's
Aww.
very, very, it's very, 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 very amazing how you can, just approach life in a different way.
I love that. Going backward here, Pam said this.
Yes, to recycling.
I was hoping she would hear my plug for recycling. She's a bigwig in the recycling program.
Nice.
The recycle, our waste management program here in Utah. So,
cool.
Love her.
Nick's a minimalist. He was joking, but he is really a minimalist. So
that's cool. That's cool. That's awesome.
So, before we go to you sharing your talent with us, is there any advice you would give to somebody that's on this journey, the Giant's Path? What would you say?
Yeah, I think the key word today, from the very beginning, and we've used it many, many times throughout our conversation, is embrace yourself, and don't be afraid of who you are, because you are powerful, so powerful. Yeah. Our conversations that we have every day with someone in the Maverick, someone at the Target, people like you, the three of us talking right now.
Yeah, right.
The influence that we can have on everyone around us is so powerful. And so don't be afraid of that. Embrace it and make it for the best, and have that positive influence in someone's life.
I love it. Man, that's beautiful.
Right on.
I'll have some closing remarks here toward the end, but Ryan, did you have any additional thoughts?
No, I can tell just the way that you've described your life, and then the people that have come in and for the last 45, 50 minutes of me knowing and getting to know you, I can tell that you're a person of character, that you're somebody that well, maybe I'll get emotional too. I can feel it. I can feel it. And I know our viewers can. I know that this message will help other people that are struggling in different areas of their life, that they can, we use the, not using a crutch, but it's kind of a funny thing, because you need to lean on other people, leaning on the wrong thing. Sometimes having a crutch is good, just the right crutch.
The right crutch. Exactly.
The right
exactly.
Crutch. Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah. And you're being and doing and living that for so many other people. And sometimes it's hard, because I look at my, like our careers, me and Nick work in RV sales. And I look and I go, well, what am I doing for other people? Blah, blah, blah. Like sometimes I think small, and, but there's so much that I can do just in my attitude, the way that I treat people, the thankfulness, the way I live my life, and the example that I set, and just to continually work on myself. You're doing that, and you're helping so many people and inspiring others to be their giant self and reach their giant potential. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I might want to do the closing remarks now, just based on that. That was beautiful, Ryan. Thank you, man. And then we'll go into music here. But, I have people this morning in conversation that are really struggling with loving and embracing themselves. And they feel this need to take care of others in such a degree that they lose themselves.
Right.
And so for you, the viewer that are watching this is a chance to really go back and look at a journey that from the outside might appear challenging. and look at what's available to you, because the truth is we can't live other people's lives. We can only live our own. But by inspiring others to live their life the way they want, or they can, to show them their potential, that's what our purpose is.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm not a highly religious person, but I was thinking about the example of Jesus today, you know, and this is separate, but he never cured anybody. He told them, he showed them their power to cure themselves, to heal themselves. And I think in any message, any spiritual leader anywhere in the world, or any kind of leader, they show people their potential and they show them how to live into that, but they don't try and do it for them. Right. And I think where you're sharing that, when you embrace who you are and you love that, that's where you start to see transformation in your life. Yep. And so I just want to honor that in you and say thank you for being on our show.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This has been a huge honor and very humbling, and it's cool to talk in the chat about life, because sometimes, you know, you stop and you think, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot has happened, and being and just celebrating that. It's pretty cool. Thank you for letting me celebrate today.
You're welcome.
Thanks for sharing your message. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Well, we like to, we're going to turn the time over to you for some music, and then we like to hang on after and just chat, just
okay.
Formal chat. If you're open to it, if you need to go.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Let me see if I can do some sound system stuff here real quick. Let me see if I can.
We'll warm up the pipes.
Okay.
La 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 la.
There we go. For me, oh, see, that works.
Nick is a really great singer, by the way, too. He's written some songs. He wrote a song for the Giants and the Smalls. You'll have to hear him sing that one of these days. It's freaking awesome.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. All right,
we'll
so
do
it.
See how I committed you there, Nick, in front of everybody? You're welcome. Yep. That's what I'm here for.
What I wanted to do. Yeah.
It's like being in the circus too at that point.
Yes.
So you can do this. Yeah.
Nice.
See how I brought that around too?
Yep. Nice. All right, man. You're. It's yours. The stage is yours.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I was trying to think, like, what song to sing today, and I was like, what better one to sing than the ones that I wrote my wife for our wedding? I haven't released it yet, but I sang it.
Premiere right here. I love this.
I know, exactly. So here we go. By the way, I'm going to play a little background because the strings in it and stuff with the piano are like really cool. Okay.
You're good. I'm going to mute us out, Ryan, if that works.
All right, awesome. I think to do one more here. I'm waiting all the time. I feel your breath. Now it's clear. From the night. Many thoughts, it was all too easy. How you made my heart alive. What do you feel?
your dreams and help me so real. Wanna make it last. Now I believe I'll always hear you laugh and help you always. Move around, see your face, knowing now that you are right. Take your heart, keep it safe, guide it through all time. I wanna know when you let me share your laughter. Will you take me on the drive? I wanna see you love. Wanna see you feel. I wanna take your dreams and help me solve it. I wanna make it last. Now I believe I'll always hear you laugh and help you always be. We all wait a lifetime for that sun to shine through. Now my waiting's over, I found her, she's beautiful and true. She's my one and only, and not just today. It's that lifetime, and all the things to say. I wanna see you love. I wanna see you feel. I wanna help your dreams and help them be so. I wanna make it last. Now I believe I'll always hear you laugh and help you always be. Oh, yeah. I'll wait for you. Oh, I'm waiting for you overnight. I'm waiting for you.
That's amazing. Thank you. Man, you're incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so weird.
Thank you so much for being on this. Yeah. So for those of you,
there it is.
Yeah, come on in. Come on in.
Hi. Hi, babe. Yeah, it's me. Wow. I love you. That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. You know, that's the end of our show. But for now, we just like to chat for a minute if you're open and just, yeah, it was beautiful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just turned off the big speakers because I'm like, oh, we're gonna get echo. ABT in me. I would love to stay around and chat. I wanna again promote your book, Nick. When you and I were talking, and how excited, it was just so exciting to see your face light up when you started talking about this book and how this was a dream for you. And it was just, do you mind telling the audience, whoever's still around, a little bit more about your book? That'd be awesome.
Yes, I wrote this book back in 2000. It was 2009. So we just came out of the market crash of 2008. And so I was starting over. I'd lost everything. And so I was working for my brother. I was bankrupt. They'd foreclosed on my home. You know, I was in that situation you were talking about. And so I had to figure out what I wanted to create for my life. I had done some coaching and worked with some coaches prior to that. And they'd inspired me to kind of step into my potential. But as I was driving to work, I was working for my brother in Park City from West Jordan, about an hour commute each direction. I listened to a lot of audiobooks, about 80 or 90 a year is what I try to hit.
Right.
But I noticed this huge gap between people up on the hill in these huge mansions and me living the life I was. And I thought, man, why is there such a difference between me and these people? They're living these giant lives while I'm living this small one. And I was listening to the book, Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson.
Right.
And I thought I could write that. I could write a book like this. And so as I'd go to work, I'd record this story on a recorder, and I would share with my kids when I got home this idea of the giants and the smalls, because I wanted to really get clear of, did they earn it? Was it handed to them? Was it just a gift? You know, how did they get up on the hill while I lived this small life? Mm-hmm. And that was 11 years ago that I wrote this story. And there's a journey along with it that, you know, for it to get to where it is today, there's a lot that went into that. You know, I got divorced last year. And that was pivotal in really having me push forward on getting this into print, because I needed something for me, like embracing my life the way it was, but also to grow in a different way. And so that book became my purpose. Right. And so this book is a story of how smalls become giants, how we live small lives and how we can grow into giant lives by changing our choices, thoughts, behaviors, owning who we are, like you say, embracing who we are, leaning on mentors, because I've had a lot of mentors along the way, and the power that mentors have in opening our eyes to our potential, and just sharing that story now where it is. Ryan's been along in this journey for almost a year now. Nice. A little over a year, right? He's muted. Yeah. But, he came along at a time where I needed somebody to lean on to help me just really make it a reality. And so that's where we've been working together, is to get it from idea and concept and story to print. And along with that, this show, our League of Giants, we have 12 giants, 13 giants from around the world who came together, who are teaching people how to become giants. And so we're creating corporate programs and organizational programs, school trainings. There's a lot that's going to come from this story. And it's really just helping people remember that you already have that within you. Yeah. You just get to step into it. Yeah. And so
absolutely. That's incredible. Yeah. I know when Steph and I were listening to you talk about it, we're like, oh my gosh, that is so incredible. While it's featured as a children's book, right? It's for children and adults.
I wrote it for adults. Yeah.
I'm excited for it to come to print because I'm going to buy one. I'm like, all right, this is really cool. No, I love it.
Here's some of the pictures. I don't know if you can see these, but can you see that?
Yeah, they're small.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me stop sharing. I'll pull this up and we'll get it there. Is that better?
Yes. Oh yeah. No, that's cool. Aww.
So this is where he looks up and sees the giants. Man, this gets me emotional. You know, like you talk about seeing your potential and can I do that? This is that story of what's possible for me. You know, he was used to living a small life and, you know, had naysayers just like all of us go through, and chose to take a journey to figure out what he was capable of. Climbed a giant, overcame fears, started asking questions of how to become a giant, who showed him how to see like a giant, dream like a giant, be a giant. He started to grow, started to experience gratitude, like you talked about heavily today, and appreciation for the abundance in the world. had to work for things,
Yep.
really had to work hard to grow. And that's me on a cow farm. That was, I didn't plan that last one, but
that's cool though. Did you name all the cows, or was it just a temporary thing?
So Ryan and I went
Ryan's shaking his head.
no, Ryan here. We went down to it. We have a friend who's
You don't want to unmute me.
It's a cow farm. Of course, there's cows on there.
Right. That's
So
awesome.
we went down to our friend's ranch, and he said, "You got to check this out." So we went out in the middle of this field, and he said, "Just lay down in the field." And the cows came and fully encircled us.
That is so cool.
And they came up and they were sniffing our shoes, just curious. 600-pound animals, and there's probably 50 to 100 cattle that just encircled us completely.
Aww.
Just such a memorable experience, So
cool.
that's a picture from that.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh, that's mine and Steph's our dream here that we're working towards is to eventually get 10 acres or so to where we can have just a couple of cows, and then Steph can get all the cats and dogs she wants.
Oh, nice.
The chickens and the goats. Like while we live here, the house that we're in right now is I was able to buy back in 2012, soon after I moved here, and coming from Warren, Ohio, back there, Dad and Chip and everybody, if we're still on there, it's beautiful there, and it's growing up in lots of land and lots of greenery.
Yeah.
I wanted something somewhat here, and so got a half acre, small itty bitty, but it is considered a horse property, but I think it'd be too crowded for a horsey. So we're going for those 10 acres.
Good.
So where we can have our chickens and our goats and our moo cows. And
yeah, good for you. Did you say moo cows?
I did.
Yeah, they called moo cows, Nick. That was your moo cow picture.
There's my moo cow.
That's awesome. Ryan,
moo cow.
so how's this book impacted you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Changed my entire the trajectory that I was on. I had learned about the book after talking with Nick about potentially being in business with him as a coach. We were talking about I had Nick be my coach, and I asked him hey, we should be in business together, and he resoundingly told me nope. So I was like, okay, well, what's a different approach? And then about 4 or 5 months later, Nick came to me and said, hey, I've got a brilliant idea. We should be partners. Excuse me? Like, well, now you're gonna have to work for it. And I was like, okay. I was a pushover. I was like, all right, let's do this. So,
all right, fine.
But it's changed everything. All the concepts, all the things that I've worked on in my life were summarized in the book, and I can take almost any situation that's out there and apply it back into the book where people can see it visually, and they can it's almost whimsical, but and simple, but can have a huge giant impact. The things that we've been able to do, even in 19 episodes of Wake Up with Giants TV, the people we've been able to run across in our personal lives, you, one of them, that then becomes somebody that we can also learn from and lean on, and then and continue to spread this message is amazing. And that's really the bigger picture, is what we're trying to accomplish, is be able to spread this message so that others can realize their giant potential. Because we see the good in, just like you, we see the good in others as well.
It's a global message. This whole thing, it's I use Remy and Rit, and that they're two characters in a world of giants and smalls. There are other giants and there are other smalls. So there's more stories to come. But as an archetype, as a metaphor for life, it applies to everybody, regardless of their background. Regardless of where they are in the world, people can take this message and apply it to their life. The path to becoming who you're capable of is open to everybody. It's not limited to just us, or Americans or privileged white males or what, you know, like it's everyone.
Everybody.
You know? It really is.
Yeah.
And I hope people see that.
Yeah, no, and it's so exciting to think about, you know, the power that people have, and it's like us as human beings, the power that we do have. I don't think sometimes we realize it. Yeah. And just the power through word, the power through, you know, action, and just really, like I said earlier, which side are you going to be on? It's kind of like the angel and the devil, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which side are you going to be on? I'm going to be on the good side. I'm sorry.
I will be on the good side. We had Mickey, little boy named Mickey, on our show last week, and Mickey. So we've got these little bracelets. I don't know. That's weird. Holding up my arm to the camera. There we go. Okay, I got to practice.
So it says giant on it.
It says giant. So he's also got these little necklaces that they're little mustard seed necklaces. They just have a little teeny tiny mustard seed in them. But in that teeny tiny mustard seed, the potential to be something gigantic is locked up inside that. And once you plant it and release it, it'll grow. The same is true in our message. And Mickey's helped us to recognize that and realize that even fuller. And there's people like you too that look into people's lives and can see, oh my gosh, you have so much potential. Mm-hmm. And look, you have a misstep, like in your corporate world. Yeah. Hey, look, you've had a misstep. You know, this is happening. This is real life. Yeah. But this is where you could be. This is what you can become. And you see the best in people. And that's really the goal of the giants and the smalls, is to help other people recognize their true potential.
Right on. I love it. Well, you guys, I'm a new subscriber. I mean, I'll be logging in to watch. I mean, it's just because I fully believe in your message, and you know, and again, just humbled and honored that Nikki and I connected, and me to be here.
It wasn't by accident. I don't think it was by accident. Yeah.
I agree completely. Yeah. Agree.
Well, we'll have to do some sort of collaboration in the future. I'd love to hear more of your music. So if there's something that we can incorporate down the line, maybe we do an event or something like that where we can have you on and do something in that regard. That would be awesome if you'd be open to it. That would be
incredible. I love writing music with themes. I mean, a lot of the songs, like the video that you talked about earlier, the You Got the Girl. That was in response to one of my friends that was going through a bad time, you know, with a dating relationship, and it's like when I hear a story, I love writing music to that, and it's, there's a lot of fun stuff that we can definitely do. That'd be cool.
I love this. Yeah. You know, I love this right here.
Yeah, this is still my favorite right there. You are my giant. Oh,
she's mine.
Well, I've got to jump onto a coaching call here.
All right,
so awesome. I'm going to jump off, but thank you for being on the show.
Seriously, this was so much fun and so impactful, and please keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing, and it encouraged me, it inspired me, and and I hope everybody out there that was watching today, the same thing. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to hear from some folks. And you too. Ryan, it was great to talk with you today for the first time, and Nick, it was good to see you again. Right on.
Okay, guys, thank you. We'll see you on the next
giant day, Renee.
Okay. Make it a giant day. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.